Well, the dawn of a new era for the U.S. military today as the Pentagon decides to allow women in combat roles for the first time ever, right up at the front lines. But what might seem like a simple step forward for equality has touched off a huge debate. Pete Hegseth is the CEO of Concerned Veterans for America. He is here to explain. Pete, welcome back. So you've done tours of duty. How many have you done, and what role did you serve? Remind us.
3. Guantanamo Bay, I was an infantry platoon leader. Iraq, I was an infantry platoon leader. In Afghanistan, I was a counterinsurgency instructor, all in the infantry.
And your thoughts about this are what?
It is going to what the guys on the ground, the squads, the platoons, the companies in infantry battalions do. It's going to make their job more difficult. And again, it's not about the mental capacity or the psychological capacity of females. There are so many women who serve with valor and with honor. This is not about that. This is about the job of the infantry, the job of our warfighter is to close with and destroy the enemy, to win wars, to fight wars. How does this move advance that ball down the field? And in the thinking in making this happen, how many squad leaders were consulted in infantry
Okay, but let me stop you.
in the Marine Corps and the Army?
How is it problematic? Explain specifically how it's problematic.
Sure. First of all, you've got physical differentiations between men and women. It just is what it is. Now,
explain
anything
that.
like this, well, you got the
I'm
load,
only kidding. I'm only kidding. But listen, I do want to stop you there.
Rucksacks,
I do want to stop
body
you
armor,
there.
Heavy weapons.
I get it, and men tend to be stronger than women, naturally, biologically. But they seem to be saying if they can reach an accommodation or an agreement where the women don't get in unless they can pass the same physical standards that the men do. I mean, if they say no exception, the women have to be just as strong, just as fast.
Sure.
Then are you okay with it?
So you know how these things usually work when integration happens, right? If it doesn't happen fast enough, what do? You start to lower the bar, or you start to impose quotas. We got to have 1 or 2 women per platoon, per company, per battalion, or we've got to lower the standards just a little bit on this particular aspect and erode them. So if they can do the job, that's a whole other question. But it also gets into dynamics. So that's the first part. The second part is the dynamics within a platoon, within a squad. Men in the dirt day after day, night after night, high-stress environments. It's another variable that as a platoon leader or a squad leader, you don't want to have to deal with Matt's feelings toward Mary and how that develops in the field. Decorum breaks down. You're in an environment of, in the dirt, fighting an enemy, passions. That's another complicating factor that as a leader makes it more difficult.
Let me stop you there, because now that we've had gays serving in the military for some time now. It's just a don't ask, don't tell, and now that's been reversed. But, May have been having feelings for Mike for a long time in the foxhole, and the military's been doing okay. So if you introduce women in there, and the straight men start to have romantic feelings for their female, platoon mates, or vice versa, how does that change anything?
That may well be the case, but there are a lot more Matts that have feelings for Mary, and that I think is a more likely scenario where those feelings are amplified or complicate a situation that needs to be singularly focused toward accomplishing a mission.
Let me jump in. You guys are trained. You're professionals. You're not monkeys. You may have the feeling, but then you control the feeling.
But Megan, do you know what it's like when you're out in the field and you've been out there for 30 days without a shower, and you're going to the bathroom right in front of the guy next to you?
I'm thinking Mary doesn't look so good at that moment.
Well, Mary probably doesn't look so good, but you also So that's easy to say from this air-conditioned studio right here, and the New York Times editorial board is going to laud this because it's equality. How it actually gets implemented becomes a difficult part. You know what's bad about this, too? Why does Panetta drop this on the desk today on his way out? I don't think that says a lot about him or about how to get implemented. He's leaving it to them to figure it out, and I want to know how this came about and how many first-line leaders in combat roles were consulted about the efficacy of this.
I know the Joint Chiefs recommended it. I mean, the Joint Chiefs of Staff recommended it to him, but that's not necessarily the same as talking to the guys who are out there now. But I do want to give you the chance, because I've been interrupting you just to make a point, because we don't have the other side here. How would the dynamic change? I mean, maybe this is just something that they'll experience because it's just now starting, and 30 years from now, that'll be under control. It'll just be like, yeah, of course women are going to be out here.
Well, Megan, as we saw yesterday in a hearing about Lackland Air Force Base, the military has a not-so-secret problem in some ways with sexual assault and some of the things that have happened with women in the military. This is an open secret that has not been figured out. So before we go about addressing that and figuring that out, why are we opening up something that we don't know how we're going to control or implement?
You know the answer to that. You keep women back from advancing in the military and moving on to positions they want because some bad apples are sexually assaulting them.
Sure, but you also shouldn't be doing them just under some moniker of equality, because equality is the end state. The end state of the military is not equality. It is the ability to fight and win wars. And I question the reason this is being advanced, like many things this administration has advanced.
My last question
is it about
for you.
warfighters?
How much pressure is on the military now? Because now we do have don't ask, don't tells gone, women going into these combat roles, sequester, and maybe possibly, you know, major defense cuts. I mean, how much pressure can we put on the military to perform under very changing circumstances?
There are a lot of open questions and a lot of uncertainty, and then you insert Chuck Hagel, who seems to be okay with sequestration and hollowing it out. I think there's a lot of uncertainty in the military today, and we're going to need bold leaders blowing through the ranks who are going to set a straight course and focus on fighting and winning wars is what we're compelled to do.
Thank you for indulging me as somebody who has never put on a uniform.
Thanks,
because we didn't have the other side here today, so I appreciate it.
No problem.
All right, all the best, and thanks for your